go. There's always things, many of us have things we don't know if which should it go to the Goodwill or should it go to an antique auction or whatever. So we had a discussion, and a lot of, I know I moved myself last year, and I have about half of what I own before I moved, and so you've got a lot of decisions to make if you move or you're taking care of parents or whatever. So Andrew and Dave have agreed to answer some questions. I just want to share a little bit with you about both of them. Andrew and Dave were both here last year, so we really thank them a lot for coming back this year. Andrew Richmond received his degree from Kenyon College and the prestigious Winterthur program in American culture. He spent more than a decade working in antique and fine auctions, with antiques and fine auctions. Andrew has been recognized as an expert in the field and appears as a regular appraiser on WKET-TV's Kentucky Collectibles. He has also curated exhibitions on decorative art in Ohio and serves on several boards of museums and decorative art organizations. So Andrew, thank you so much for coming back. Dave, we can find him locally. Dave is the owner of Treasure Hunters, and he's a licensed auctioneer and realtor with Colt Realty. He has been in business for 25 years, buying and selling antiques and specializing in estate liquidations. I think both Andrew and Dave do estate liquidations. I had an experience with Dave, I don't know, about 15 years ago. 15 years ago, when my mother went from her duplex to a nursing home. And it was wonderful to have somebody who knows what they're doing coming in and help you. And I'm sure people's experiences are the same with Andrew. He represents buyers and sellers in the real estate industry. His areas of specialization include antiques, country store advertising, and sports memorabilia. I've asked both of them because they've been here with us all day, and we have had some cool things come through the appraisals today. So I asked both of them if they would share with you a highlight of the things, one of the things they saw today, and how, whether it is or not special, we may not know for a while, but they're going to share a little bit about today. And then after that, I'd like each of them to talk a little bit about their business experience and how they work with customers, so you can get an idea. And then we would like to open the floor up for your questions, because that last year took quite a bit of time to answer questions. Yep. So without further ado, Andrew, you're farther from me, so I'm going to let you start. And your name starts with A. So oh. And D for Dave.
Well, about his last name.
That's true. Well, I'm sorry, Dave. All right, Andrew.
So probably the most potentially interesting, and I emphasize the word potentially interesting thing that came into my table today, was a painting that was acquired by the owner's mother in the 1950s, and it may be a Grandma Moses painting, original Grandma Moses painting. But that's a big, big if, because she was, when she was painting in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, she was immensely popular, and a lot of her works were printed. They made prints of them. So a lot of people own prints, and my guess is some people probably made painted copies of those prints as a hobby. And then beginning in the 1970s, particularly, when she became very popular, her paintings started to bring a lot of money, there were people who were making intentional fakes of her works. And so that's made the market for her work a little bit of a minefield. So we won't know for a while until she has a treasure or just something pretty to hang back on her wall, because I took some photos, and I'll consult with some colleagues who know her work better than I to see if it's an authentic or if it's not. And if it's authentic, it could be worth a lot of money. But if it's not, like I said, she'll just hang it back on her wall and enjoy it because it doesn't have much value. And that's anytime, Dave can attest to this, anytime we have these sorts of events, folks come in and often have big expectations. They saw just something just like it on the Antiques Roadshow, or whatever. And sometimes they can even get a little unhappy when I have to break the bad news to them, but it's not like you see on the Antiques Roadshow. You don't just step up and the appraisers are fonts of information and definitive word on anything. Oftentimes we have to speak in very flexible language because They were timing us today, we had 5 minutes, and you can't do a lot of expertising in 5 minutes. So, you know, I use a lot of qualifiers, and I do often have to follow up with folks after I've done a bit more research, because if something is a real treasure, then you need to handle it appropriately, and if it's not, then you want to know and be confident.
And you're highlighting from something you had to do.
Highlight, I had 2 of them, but I'll just do one for the sake of time. It was the last item of the day. Ironically, I had done 4 pocket watches today, and it's a perfect example because with pocket watches, and we had a jeweler last year, so he wasn't on the panel today, but I've had a lot of experience. But one of the things that we look for is obviously the name. Is it working properly? Man's versus woman's, but it was actually an 18 karat gold pocket watch. And that put it into a huge category because most pocket watch cases are not real gold. The ones that are marked. So all of a sudden, it took it from Grandpa's watch being worth probably a lot, substantially more money because of the gold content. Then it gets into the sentimental gut check. It's worth more to melt, but do you really want to melt Great-Grandpa's watch? And when gold was $1,500, $1,600, $700 an ounce, we're talking a substantial amount of money. And this was the largest man's pocket watch I've ever seen. The lady that brought it in then informed me that Great-Grandpa lived in the South and he actually owned a company that manufactured turpentine. Because I told her the average general layman, laborer, railroad worker, guy that goes to the mill, farmer, does not carry an 18 karat gold pocket watch. So that's probably the only 18 karat gold watch I've ever seen. I've been buying watches out of the States for years. But I told her, you put in, her son had it in his bedroom. I said, you put that in a safe place. So that does become a situation there too. Do you melt it and you use that cash for something important, you know, that you need, or what do you do with it? So that was kind of interesting. Do you see many 18 karat gold pocket watches?
No, not many.
Yeah.
90
Not
out of
10,
100.
not 14, but 18 to boot.
Well, 90 out of 100 pocket watches that I see are gold filled or gold
Right,
plated.
or gold
So
filled.
when you do see a
GF
gold,
for gold filled, yeah.
when you do see a solid gold, it does tend to be 10 to 14 karat, which is still a great watch, but 18 karat does kind of put it into another stratosphere.
Like to the Holy Grail, yeah. And we didn't have a scale or anything, you'd have to take the watch apart. And we are all faced with that too. And the jeweler they had last year, I mean, there's people melt gold crosses. It's horrible. I said, you're melting Jesus, but Fred, I'm like, Fred, he's Catholic, you're melting Jesus. But so there is in this business that point in time when gold got to be so high, people were melting everything. Because, you know, you walk in with a, and you walk out with a stack of hundreds, so kind of interesting about the business.
It's the point where history, art, sentiment meets commerce, and it can be tricky. You know, not everybody is privileged enough to be able to afford to keep a family heirloom that's worth a lot of money. And if they're going to sell it, you know, I've had people who've been in that situation, and somebody will say, "Why don't you donate it to a museum? Can you afford to give away $50,000 rather than sell that whatever it is and get the money?" And most people can't, and so it's, yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes and challenging to work with folks who sometimes those treasures that come walking in can turn out to be a burden, because it can be a real challenge to decide what do. Do we sell it because we really, you know, our house needs a new roof, or Timmy needs to go to college, but this was great-grandpa's, whatever, and it's hard to give it up.
The only way is to weigh it.
Yeah, and what would have to happen in that situation is you would have to gut it, and literally you'd have to take the works out of it, because, you know, a jeweler's only going to weigh the gold. So they would have to take the watch apart, take all the works out of it, the porcelain face, anything that isn't gold, and then set it on the scale. So,
But you can probably tell if you've seen enough watches whether it's heavy or
oh boy, this was the Holy Grail.
not.
And
Tell her that?
And it was beautiful, and I can picture her great-grandfather wearing that with his best suit, setting it in the pocket of his vest, because it wasn't scratched, It wasn't worn, it wasn't coming out in and out of bib overhauls. It was probably his Sunday go to meeting, it was on a gold chain more than likely, and I knew right away, this business is interesting because it does tell a story. I knew whoever owned it had to be wealthy. Because if it was from the 20s or something, who had that kind of money to have an 18-karat gold pocket watch back in the day? So really, when you piece all this together, this business does make sense.
Probably had to have his vest pocket specially made.
It was the, I'm telling you, it was the, I won't sleep tonight, it was the biggest thing. You know, I'm the treasure hunter, I'm hoping to find that in a cigar box in a basement.
Sure.
And it never happens, but it happened today, right upstairs. So that $5 investment for her was a good move. At least she knows now to put it in a bank, safety deposit box, or a safe, or something like that. And make the children aware of it, you know, that she had her daughter with her. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
She put her name on that one.
yeah.
But as far as what we do, and and then before we open the floor up, I mean, I'm a liquidator. We do provide a service. I think Andrew does the same thing. He's in a, he deals with a lot of upper echelon, but it's a lot of work out there today. And what do you do with this stuff as you're getting older, or you're downsizing, or your parents are? I'm finding in my business, I don't know about your area, people are living longer. I just had a situation where the kids are now in their mid to late 60s, and mom's 92, and their health's not that good. And there's all the stuff in mom's house. And they're not physically able to lift or box or go through everything. So in this particular case, I bought the house, everything in it, the car in the garage and everything, because I knew them from years and years ago, but I didn't know what to do, how to help them. But again, that's what's happening too. We're living longer. And so as the kids are older, if they're not in good physical condition for lifting and hauling and moving things and boxing it, what do? You have to have that guy that can liquidate the entire, deal.
Is that where you got that Cadillac?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I told her. And if you're local here, I actually went on a call to buy some antiques about a month ago and ended up buying Mrs. Zeeley's Cadillac.
Oh, Mrs. Zeeley.
Yeah, it was in the garage and I opened my mouth and
Who's? Betty?
Betty Zeeley's.
Oh my.
So I went to buy the antiques and I said, is the car for sale? And it was just looking really nice. It was all shined up. And they said, yeah, well, what do you want for it? And I said, I'll take it. So I have Betty's Cadillac. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but actually it's at the detailer today.
Drive
I
around.
had first dibs.
What's that?
I had first dibs on it.
Did you see?
I
How funny is that?
I was next door.
Oh, well, Betty's car's getting detailed today. So, but again, there was a need, and what are you going to do? And so I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Drive it, sell it to him. Now they got all. Was a nice car though, huh? It's a nice car. So that's what we're faced with today, and you can either go the auction route or you can go the, and I'm not big on garage sales because I still think and I tell you, I don't know if you're going through it. I actually haul out the state to an auction in Indiana, and I'll tell you what, prices are scaring me. They're down. Antique furniture, you guys out there, in our world, we can't hardly give it away. It's not that we're being unfair, but the next generations coming up don't want a lot of this stuff.
Nope.
And it's heartbreaking.
And if it doesn't go in the dishwasher, they don't want.
Yeah.
Crystal.
So you need to be aware of it, and I don't know, furniture, are you seeing a big trend there? Do you do a lot of furniture?
Not if I can help it.
Yeah, see. So it becomes a point in time where you just have to get rid of it. It's getting scary. And glassware, there's so much of it, a lot of
What
people.
do you do with it?
We send it to auction and sweat rolls down my forehead when it used to bring 50 and it's bringing 5. And then you gotta pay a commission.
Have a party and give everybody a glass and bang them
Yeah.
against the wall.
Somebody came in today and they were asking about depression glass, and it's like, we call it depressing glass because we literally, it's very extremely tough to get rid of. So I think the thing in today is be aware of it, and as far as I see a progression where as we are living older, get to where don't wait too long before you're not healthy enough, but it's a lot of work, and try to look down the road 5 or 10 years where you wanna be and be able to enjoy your, the last, 15, 20 years where you can just relax.
That's actually a big reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I was in the auction business for a long time, and it was a lot of fun. I got to see all sorts of great stuff, got to sell really cool things, but the biggest challenge I found was I would get into estates, mom and dad are gone, and the kids have no idea what they're looking at, and I would see this big empty spot over the sofa on the wall. So what was there? Oh, it was a painting. Some guy offered us $500. Hope it was only worth $500. So people are folks were making potentially really bad, really costly mistakes because they just had no ideas. It's just honest ignorance. And so when I shifted to what I do now, which is mostly appraisals for insurance or estates, but I do one of the things I do a lot of is help people plan. So you're the stuff owner, you're the collector, you know what you have, so I can come in and help devise a plan so that when the time comes, the kids come in from out of town or wherever they are, and they actually have a sense of, so these 15 things are of more significant value, so they need to go to an auction house like A, B, or C. This other stuff, you can send it to Kiko's or call Dave, and then there's all this other stuff, and it's goodwill. It's just, what that helps them do is have realistic expectations walking into it. Because a lot of times, mom and dad speak very highly of their things during their lives, and then when they're gone, the kids have this inflated idea of what these things are worth.
Right.
I had at least one person upstairs get visibly upset when I told them what they had brought me was not really worth all that much.
Yeah.
And so this way, it's all about expectations. And so you're giving the collectors their expectation, or the homeowners their expectations now, and then they can communicate to their children, so when the time comes, there aren't going to be any mistakes because they've made a plan. And and those mistakes can not only be costly. I've seen things bought at yard sales that have sold for $8,000, $9,000, but those mistakes can also cost relationships. I've seen kids. I've had to call 911 on appraisals before because kids are at each other's throats, and it's just it can get really ugly, and you can rip families apart because of kids' misperceptions of what mom and dad have. It's just stuff. Even if it's a family heirloom, it's just stuff, and it's not worth that kind of ridiculousness and losing relationships over. So having some sort of plan now eliminates that all down the road.
Hey, remember too, because we're all watching them whether you want to admit it or not, Pawn Stars, Pickers, Antique Roadshow, remember those are reality shows for a reason, okay? That's not all, that's staged. So we live in the real world, and in a lot of that stuff, it's really affected my business because I'm the guy that buys those old advertising signs like MCA used to make. Love them. I mean, I would kill for them, but they're showing TV and rusty gold and all this, so just remember, that's reality. That's all staged, and, imagine two guys in a van pulling up to your farmhouse, and you're out off of 93 or something, and you got, no trespassing signs, and a camera crew getting out and stuff like that. That's just not going to happen. You're going to get a shotgun in your face, or a pit bull or a Rottweiler's going to, but so keep that all in mind. I think it's great TV, and the Pickers are getting rich over it, by the way, too.
They're not getting rich on what they're buying and selling.
Right. They're getting rich from the
those
TV
guys
shows.
Spend a week on the road, and they spend $1,200, and they sell the stuff for $2,500. Well, that doesn't even cover their gas and hotels.
But, yeah, that's